Welcome, and so sorry about that. And as you guys join back in, it rugged me and closed the entire space. So we'll wait a couple minutes as people start joining us again. Thanks again for coming back. Hi, Lord Leg. Hi, One Existence. Nice. Thanks for joining us again. Hopefully it won't rug me again. Sorry about that. Hi, Matamio. Hi, Fede. Welcome. It was bound to happen one of these times.
Hey there, how are you?
Yay! Thanks. Matamio, can you speak as well? Uh-oh. Now it's his turn. The joys of Twitter Spaces.
Yeah, I had to join from my phone because I can't do it from my laptop. Like
Yeah, it always gets.
the speaker feature doesn't work in my laptop.
Oh no. Well, hi Mariana. Thank you guys for coming back. Sorry, I was rugged and crashed the whole Spaces, so I had to restart it. Hi Sinful. So we'll wait another minute or so while people join us. The joys of Spaces and crashing internet. I'm in a new location for the summer, so the Wi-Fi here is a little more spotty. So it's always with Spaces. Discord usually has been pretty good, but yeah, Spaces can be interesting. Oh, Matamio, you requested. What did you request? Let's see. Yes. You can now speak. Oh, it wasn't letting you speak?
Everyone, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
One.
Anything. It's you sound like you're in a car or something.
How about now? Is that better? I'm on my phone.
Oh, a little bit better. Yeah. It's all good. Can Wolf, are you able to join us? Or I sent you a request, but I don't know if you can join us. Let's see. I'm afraid to touch anything to make it crash again, so I'm trying to be as delicate with my phone right now. But yeah, I can just start with some introductions here and we'll just dive in before it crashes on me again. Welcome, everyone, and thank you all for being here today for another Decentraland DAO Twitter Spaces. For today's Spaces, we welcome the Facilitation Squad. So that includes myself, Fractilians, and we have Fede, Kenwolf, and Matamio here. And today we'll be starting out with just a little squad introductions for those who don't know us from before, and also an overview, and then dive into updates on some of the newer initiatives that we have been rolling out, including the Strategic Planning Working Group, RFI, and the upcoming onboarding sessions. Then we will open it up for the community to come up and ask away. Yeah, with that, let's start with some introductions. Matamio, do you want to go for it?
Yeah, sure. Well, thank you, Factilians and everyone for being here. I'm Matamio, also known in real life as Matt. I've been with Decentraland DAO now for something like 2 years, and I started off as the first DAO facilitator, and entering into the role. This was before we had a grant support squad or anyone. It was sort of just me and the DAO committee. Seeing how large of a role facilitating community and operations really was, and expanded that to the DAO facilitation team, where Factilians joined, and eventually Fede, and now Canwolf. So we've grown from 1 to 4 now, as well as with the other squads that are doing a lot of the other work with the grant support. And in my real life, I'm a future studies PhD candidate focusing on decentralized and democratic futures. That's an overall introduction. Pass it back to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Matamio. Yeah, Fede, you want to go next?
Hey there. Well, I'm Fez from the Facilitation Squad, and well, I've been around here on the Decentraland DAO like for 1 year, I think, right now. But well, I know this project, like the Decentraland project, from a couple of years ago because, well, I know some early collaborators and landowners, so that's how I got involved. But yeah, from December last year, I think it was, I started collaborating with the Facilitation Squad. And well, we've been like reorganizing internally, and right now what I'm fully dedicated is to it's with governance operations. So basically, my job is about facilitating, and that means making things easier and agile, and like uh, a better way for the community users to engage with decision making, with onboarding experiences and everything around the like the participation within this community. So well, that's kind of the things that we've been doing the last couple of months, and it has like a formal part, like the formal procedures that we're working on, and the informal part by accompanying all community members on presenting proposals, on again participating on decision making, creating incentives. So that's basically what I've been doing last couple of months.
Wonderful. Thank you, Fede. And Ken Wolf, our newest member of this facilitation squad, want to do a little introduction of yourself?
Hello. Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Well, I think many of you already know me. I'm the newest member of the team, and I've been working with these guys like for a month by far. And I previously was a moderator of several important communities of the Web3, like Avatars, NFT 42, and TokenSmart. And also, I was a moderator of several important communities of the Web3 and some gamers communities too.
It is a little difficult to hear you. I don't know if it's your phone, but yeah, I don't know if it's just me or.
No,
Yeah,
I'm having problems too to hear you, Kamolf.
yeah, maybe it's because I'm on my phone. Let me try with another headphones.
Awesome. Wonderful. Well, one of the things I wanted to, I guess, kind of like maybe share a little bit about, how do you see our squad in general, as beneficial to the Decentraland DAO community in general? Like, what is your personal take? Like, I know each of us is focusing on different aspects of it, but I would love to hear what, like, when you're talking to somebody who's never heard of the DAO, like how you describe your benefit to the DAO to them. Matamio, go for it.
Natalie, can I pass to Fede first?
Yeah, of course. Go for it.
Yeah, well, basically, my role in particular, as I mentioned, is about making things easier for all community members to get engaged and participate. So, uh, my role is about knowing what are the main issues around the decision making and around all the ideas that the community members want to propose or to analyze or to discuss. And what I try to do in different ways, in different manners, is to keep that discussions on track and to try to actually turn that discussions into specific outcomes. So right now we have the working groups example, the working group, the strategic planning working group, and that's a good example of a lot of community members sharing their thoughts and actually uh, trying to build consensus and to create proposals with specific objectives and goals. So, as I mentioned, this is basically my way to collaborate with the DAO, and that also means not only by guiding or facilitating the working groups, but also having one-on-one conversations with community members that don't know about the specific processes, about the governance process, for example, because there are a lot of new community members that do not understand how this three-stage governance process works, and but we might think that's easy for us because we've been around for a couple of months or years, but for the ones that are new joiners here in the DAO, it's not easy. So my way to collaborate is to know the needs of the new members, the new community members, to know the needs of the, the old ones, right? The people that has been participating for this last couple of years, and like to be the grease. I think we already mentioned this a couple of times with Matt and Fractilians. I like to say that I'm like the grease for the gears of the DAO, trying to align stakeholders and community members and grantees and partners, interests, and trying to align our objectives, and trying to put everything on the right pathway. Okay, the right pathway to achieve the outcomes that we desire. And again, there are formal ways to do it, such as the working groups RFI procedure, the request for information that we passed a couple of weeks ago. Uh, we've got also the facilitation tracker, the facilitation corner. Sorry, that's like a landing page or workspace, whatever you want to call it, with every with a lot of documentation and spaces for you to understand how to DAO. That's also something that we like to say with Nat. How to DAO, how to play around, how to know how to participate, how to engage in different ways, because it's interesting that we're like a huge community, and everyone has its own interests, and they probably differ from the interests of other community members. So that's also our role here, like trying to put everyone on the same track with different methods. Okay, like putting some project management methodology, some Delphi method, dynamics, and well, that's kind of the mixture, the mix that I work with, and my participation is about that, about making things easier for everyone to participate, for everyone to allow their voices, uh, and that's what I try to do every day.
I love that. You brought up all these other questions I had for later on in this discussion, but it's great. I mean, I think we can jump ahead to that, because one thing we've been working on ourselves, like you mentioned, is creating better onboarding. We're going to have sessions for that or documentation for that. And I think it's definitely a community project as well. We're that grease to help start that conversation, but it's amazing to see how the community in general is kind of like we're working in conjunction with them. If you look at CBD Discord, ABC Discord, or what Sinful Meat Stick is doing with his grant, he's having these great videos designed to help new users, and how all of these efforts and all of us are working collaboratively or trying to share this with the larger community to help address these issues, right? That we all collectively see. Matamio, do you have any? Let's hear your thoughts.
Yeah, thank you. And Fede, thanks. I mean, I think what's really cool is to, you know, to hear you explain what we do. And I think, you've all heard me say this before, and my catchphrase is that DAOs are a human process. And I think that as we've seen Decentraland DAO evolve, we've seen the capacity of each of us in our community as a whole evolve, which is what's pushing us forward. And I think really what we do at the Decentraland DAO Facilitation Squad is support that process, is to support capacity building of our community and to direct the efforts of those who are motivated to be involved. And I think also help find pathways for people to find, both meaning and livelihood by doing so, through grants, through squads, through different pathways. I think our role has evolved. It started off as a simple role of of kind of just like helping with proposals and guiding people to express their interests in actionable and implementable ways. But now we're much broader, also to setting up the Discord. But now we have the strategic communications with Fractilians. We have Fede on operations, focusing on traditional role. We have Conwolf on moderation, and together, I think we really see ourselves as helping be a voice for the community and directing interests and balancing divergent and overlapping and collaborating interests of different stakeholder groupings, within the community, within the foundation, and within the core units. So, I'll pass it back to you, Madeline.
No, love that. Yeah, I see a lot of this is one of the questions I was asking. How, I mean, even since I started, it's almost been a year, I guess. It's just to see the evolving, how each of our roles have evolved over time, and it's such an in conjunction and collaboration with the community, and every event or every AMA or onboarding, everything that we're doing is inspired and created in conjunction with what we see and what we hope the community is wanting, or telling us what they're hopefully wanting for the future. I'm curious, what do you guys think are some of the biggest challenges we face in general as in Decentraland as a community? This is a larger question, but I always love to ask it. Go for it, Fede.
Okay, yeah, that's not an easy one, but there are a lot of things going on, not only in the Decentraland or the DAO's world, but also in the crypto world, right? And yeah, we're in a in a how can I say, we're not in a good place right now. We're not in a good moment of the market, the crypto market, and that's also impacts on participation and discussions. And well, that's the macro view of this. But if you think about it, there are also things that we can address from the DAO, and that there are issues that us as community members can try to address or to solve. And one of those is the topic that we've been discussing for long, and it isn't solved yet, about the voting power distribution. And the other one that I like to take, and to say that it's also really important, it's about not only the alignment of the goals and objectives of everyone here in the community, but also the lack of an incentive structure. It's something that we have been discussing in the strategic planning working group, and it's something that a lot of community members mentioned before we started with that. But I think creating the right or the correct incentive structure will help us not only to get more participation, but also to get more diverse opinions and thoughts in the final decisions that the DAO makes. And because right now many people are not incentivized to participate, maybe because they have low voting power, maybe because they think their voice doesn't count. Okay, because they think what they want to say, it's not going to have a direct impact on the binding decisions or whatever. So one of the main problems again is the incentive structure, and that impacts directly on the participation. And we really want more participation, again, not only because we want our numbers to increase and everyone to participate or whatever, but because we're a community that needs to be diverse, that needs to be pluralist, and the decisions that we make, the decisions that we take, have to be enough comprehensive for the long term. Because if some of us, a small group of us, take decisions, and we not I won't say ignore, but if we don't take into account other opinions and we don't invite other members of the community that are not taking part on the decision making process, we're going to like decide on things that are not going to to live to the long term. So yeah, that's basically what I think are the right now. Just like trying to answer your question, there are a lot of problems around, but what I think we can address right now, that we can work on and that we can like survive, is the things around the incentives and the participation.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. It's like,
Thank you for that. And I just want to build, I think, on that last point. You're talking about the incentives and sort of look at one of the greatest challenges we have from my perspective as also an opportunity is really, how we evolve to the next stage of our journey here as Decentraland DAO. In our history, and I think we've gone from sort of a really centralized stage of being really directly tied to the foundation to having a stage really directly linked and led by the DAO committee, to expanding to having core units. And now I think we really need to, and are challenged, and it's both an opportunity to find out how we can really create a decentralized organization here that can continue to function and operate for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And I think that does revolve around, these core challenges that Fede highlighted, voting power, but also this incentive structure and also efficiency, being efficient and effective, and having specific outputs or products, and figuring out how we can do that both in a decentralized alignment and distribution of resources and power. And I think that
I think you're getting rugged, or is it just me?
Yep, I'm not hearing him.
coming together and finding where our next stage is, and that's where these strategic planning working groups and other things I think help turn this challenge into an opportunity.
Yeah, that's exactly how I've been thinking of it. How these challenges and how these difficult markets and how everything that we see as a brick wall can be like, okay, this is a stepping stone, this is a building block towards something that can hopefully help increase these community participation, or how we can think different and create different
opportunities. Are you there, Facilitation? You back?
Oh, you can't hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
May I add something to what Matimi is saying? The good thing about this, talking about the incentive structure, about participation, and everything around it, and like thinking in the long term, not only talking about the strategic planning working group, okay, but thinking in the long term. For example, right now that we are actually discussing the incentives structure by well, that's something that we've been talking just a couple of days ago, but like recognizing the different contributions from the DAO community members and creating incentives for that, associating that incentives to the budget system that the governance squad is developing. There are a lot of ideas around how to create those incentives by I don't like the gamification term, but it's basically that, right? It's like adding incentives that can be achieved by anyone, not only by like adding contributions to GitHub or something like that, but also taking into account contributions within the DAO, within the decision making process, within the platform, with different with content, with events. So that's something that we need to discuss. It's something that we need to have the time to discuss. And the other thing that I wanted to highlight is that the good thing about like the pilot tests that we're running right now with the working groups and etc. is that we're actually having or trying to have facilitators from outside our unit. I am seeing Lorlight here for example, he's also a facilitator within the strategic planning working group, and he's not a part of the facilitation squad, and he's doing his best, and he's doing it good. So I think we need to look towards that way, right? If we think in terms of decentralization, uh, I think it's an old debate now, to be honest, like talking about centralization, decentralization. But yeah, if we want to look towards decentralization, like capacitating and training people from the community to facilitate discussions, to take the lead on the decision making, to guide the different groups about different topics to reach an expected and a specific outcome that could be a binding governance proposal or not, is where we should aim to go, and that's something that's going on right now. It's not like we're talking about things that we plan to do. It's something that's going on right now, and it's really important for us. Right now, it's an experiment, and it's good that we're trying that right now. But it's also good for all of you to know that good things are going in terms of addressing those issues that I mentioned a couple of minutes ago.
Fede, also, I think one of the things that really struck me from when you're speaking there is that I think we are still very much in a pilot phase of the DAO, and that these processes that we're implementing now, that we're piloting, they are the ones that are going to grow into, I think, some of the long-term structures that really facilitate this community-led process. So I think that's a key point to emphasize here. Is I think a lot of what I see us doing is still in the pilot.
Sorry, I'm having tech. Can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yep, we got you.
It showed that it actually ended the space. I was like, no, it's so hopefully if I'm quiet, it's a technical issue. So thank you guys for taking the conversation. I missed the last couple minutes there. It was, yeah, sorry about that.
That's great. I think we're ready to move on to whatever you had next on the agenda.
Yeah, I think along the lines more of like the strategic planning working group, which I think have been excellent, and I really like the last presentation you gave, Fede, was really great, especially about all the different numbers and metrics that we were just looking at and what you brought and what you shared with everybody. It really gave me a lot of ideas personally of how to increase and how to start looking at things differently, and for those, like what we were saying, opportunities for participation, and how we can help share and include the community as much as possible in this whole process, because we're community members, we're grantees too. We're here doing what the community does, what the grantees do, and we're here to learn and listen from everyone here. So one of the things I would love is for the strategic planning working group, like if somebody here in the community wants to start engaging, wants to start participating, can you maybe share a little bit about the cadence of the meetings, what the goal is, and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, sure. Again, about the strategic planning working group. So basically, what we are doing is to have bi-weekly sessions, hours like that. I think they last an hour, and so we are working stage by stage to like create the actual strategic planning document. But what you basically have to do if you want to participate, to get involved, it's just not joining, just say hi in the Discord channel, share your interest or share some thoughts. And what we are doing, what Lorelike and I are doing, is like summarizing everything that happens within that Discord channel and everything that happens on our bi-weekly sessions, and drop it into a document. And that document is within a workspace in Notion, a working group workspace, and all documentation and everything that we summarize on the next steps, and everything that needs some like project management is right there. So if you want to get involved, just ping us like privately or right in the Discord channel. And if you share your email, uh, again, privately or in the channel, we can add you as collaborator in the Notion workspace. And being a collaborator means that you can comment. You're going to be able to comment on the different documents within that workspace. So, for example, we have the the main document that we're working with is the strategic planning manifesto, and there are a lot of thoughts that we worked around with the SWOT analysis that we conducted a couple of weeks ago. There's a lot about the metrics that we want to use to create our baseline. And right now we are trying to conduct a comparative analysis between the Decentraland DAO and other DAOs, and with the Decentraland and other metaverses. So again, basically, if you want to be part of this, it's not like you need to dedicate full time or something like that. But there are a lot of people that's collaborating only by sharing their thoughts on specific topics and areas of interest. And what they only do is to share their emails and to attend to our bi-weekly sessions. So that's the way you get involved in strategic planning working group, and hopefully on every working group from now on. So right now we only have one. We actually have a couple of working groups, but the most active right now is the one for strategic planning. So yeah.
Awesome. And I don't know if Lord, I try to invite you up to speak. I don't know if you're able to get it. If you're welcome to come up. It would be great to hear your take as being a part of this. If you're not, I understand. But if anybody else here in the community has any questions for us, that would be great. If you requested to come up, you're welcome to come up. And if not, I would love to maybe talk a little bit more about our plans for our onboarding session. Maybe, Fede, if you want to talk a little bit about that, we'll dive in.
Okay, yeah. And then it will be great if you help me with this because it's your thing. But we are basically working with Fractilians and Canwolf on the onboarding experience for the Decentraland DAO. And this is also something that I've been hearing, I've been reading around on this community from the beginning. Again, it's not easy to get into this community and know how to present a proposal, know how to request a grant. It's actually really difficult to understand our Discord server, our channels, the way that we structure the Discord channel. So what we're aiming to do we already started with this a couple of weeks ago, but what I think we're going to focus more on the next term is on the onboarding process. In the onboarding for new joiners, and the onboarding for people that might not have experience in Web3. So what we want to do is to invite that people to be part of our DAO and to understand how to participate and to understand how are or which are the best ways to engage without getting into a rabbit hole and not understanding what's happening. So yeah, we have a huge strategy that we need to plan, but we started with some videos that we're recording for understanding the functioning of the Discord server, understanding the ways that the way that you can vote, the way that you can create a proposal, etc., etc. And we're also planning with with Fractilians to have again bi-weekly sessions, bi-weekly meetings, like small meetings for new joiners, like 15-20 minutes with a small presentation with links of interest, and to get to know the new people that's training, to get to know their interests and to try to engage them with different ways to participate. And that's something that we're going to implement in the next few weeks. And again, we're still working on the content of that 15-20 minutes sessions with the new joiners, but I think it will be a good way to start and a good way to gauge uh, or to measure or to understand what the new joiners actually need to get involved and to understand how our DAO works. Like being on one-on-one meetings, or I don't know, two of us and other person on the other side, we create a more close experience with the new joiners, and will make us understand in a better way what are their needs. So that's basically what we're planning to do on our onboarding strategy. But I think Nat, you can add some things too, because it's like the big picture what I mentioned, but there are other things that you're working on that are really really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, and I see this being part of the even bigger picture of our Decentraland DAO in world headquarters. I think we've talked about onboarding a lot in spaces, and how to address those pain points for the new users across the board, right? And it's how to have this new Decentraland headquarter incorporate like a whole wing of onboarding to help these newbies. And I remember CK, you mentioned something along the lines of that a while back, and I was like, yes, that's totally what we need. Like a place that can link out to all the resources being done by people. Like I mentioned what you were doing, Sinful, your video series, what DCL Virtual Library does with education, what CBD Discord is doing, ABC, all the community members like have a resource place, obviously within Discord to give them like a simple entry, but also having an amazing place within in world, which has been needed for so long. But and that's something that we worked on also with Sandstorm to do that Decentraland DAO headquarter build-a-thon, build. And I think that's going to be announced soon in the winner for that. I reached out, but yeah, all those kind of things I see is like kind of like, it really excites me personally, I think, and it's going to be really useful, and how we can have the community help us with all of that, right? It's just like we're just here to be that grease and just like bring everybody on to bring their brilliance and share what they're doing and their own efforts. But yeah, and we have Sinful up here, and I would love for you to ask away.
Hey, how's everyone doing? Thank you for having me up. Um, I guess first question, was that planned? Because like I'm hearing some like relaxing background music as you speak. It's making you sound like glorious and stuff.
Oh man, I always have background music. I feel so bad. I'm like, oh no, it's that loud. It's like
No, no, no. It's like the perfect balance where like your voice is like what's being heard, but it's like complementing and amplifying, the ambience. I love it. Uh,
Epic.
So, I kind of like came up here to kind of just echo something that Betty had said a little earlier about like as a community member here in Decentraland, like don't be afraid to vote, no matter how little voting power you feel you have. Your voice will be a far more needed and something that will that can possibly push this platform forward. The reason why I wanted to come up and kind of just echo that is because there's a lot of people that it's and seems to be newer users like within the last 2 months, 2 to 5 months, whatever, that just don't want to vote and don't want to express their opinions in the DAO forums because they just feel like their voices are not being heard because they don't have like that number behind their vote, that high number, and just want to kind of, say it's not about the voting power. The people with voting power are actually looking at those questions that you are posing and looking at how the person being asked is responding to them. Like your voice is actually stronger than you think, and I do encourage everyone to use it.
I love that you said that, because I even have that problem myself. Like I have like very low VP, and it's hard sometimes getting over that initial, even if you've been here for years, that intimidation of sharing your thoughts, no matter what, right? And how love that. I mean, I think that's so important for everyone to hear. And like you said, I love reading the comments and seeing everyone's perspective. It really does educate me too, to really dig deeper. And yeah, go for it, Fede.
Yeah, I really like what Simple mentioned, because sometimes some comments are very much like 100 times more valuable than a single vote, and sometimes those comments like flip over a voting. So it's really important for everyone, for the ones with 1 BP, with 100 BP, with I don't know, to comment, to ask questions about the people that's requesting grants, to ask about the background, to ask. Well, that's for the grants, but also for the binding governance proposals, right? That questioning and commenting on the proposals, it adds a lot of value to this community, and it's not about the BB. And again, sometimes the comments flip the votings, so take into account that that will happen if you participate and share your thoughts.
We have like a very, very vast community, and the skill sets just kind of spread all across the board. Like, not every whale is a marketing expert, and if there's a marketing DAO proposal up in the DAO, like, we need the marketing community members to step forward and ask the valuable questions. So yeah, thank you for allowing me up, and thank you for hosting these every Tuesday. I've been enjoying these Twitter spaces, and I feel like they were much needed.
Well, thank you for all you do for the community. Your spaces are awesome, and all your videos. I watch them all. So right back at you. And we have another speaker who just joined us. You're welcome to ask your question.
Welcome.
I guess the other speaker is me. Is that correct?
Yes. Welcome.
So I joined Decentraland in March 2020, and I find this still to date to be one of the most exciting projects out there. And I think the biggest issue for Decentraland, including the DAO, was always that they had to live up to very high standards that they set for themselves, especially in terms of decentralization and the DAO itself. And I think a lot of people who came to Decentraland and they were expecting these high standards to be met right away, they were frequently disappointed, because it's impossible to have a perfect system, a perfect political system working like from day one. And there are a couple of people here in this session which have been there from the beginning and are still in that group. And I'm surprised to see that, how much endurance they have. And a big shout out to, and those people know exactly who they are. And I just want to say that what I miss the most as a result from the DAO is some kind of huge, huge impact where the community overrules and breaks the expected outcome. And I mean, the most important thing online is really noise and reshares and retweets and discussions. As soon as this is in place, people get engaged. But most of the time, the issues that are being dealt with in the DAO, at least from my point of view, are always minor or are just targeting a very tiny, small fraction of the community. So people just don't care after a while and they don't check back. So I just miss a little bit of for the lack of a better word, a bit of a scandal where the community, just suddenly overrules the big voters who always swing around the vote on the important matters and get it their way. And not only this, but also get the implementation, also get something changed quickly. It's impossible to wait 6, 9, 12 months for a major change. And I've gone through some of these experiences where it just took too long, where by the time we've implemented something, I started to lose passion, and I was a very passionate person. So I would love to see, something to play out, something big. It has to be loud, and I'm going to join in to make the noise. And I'm sure a lot of people on this call are going to join in just to make this a thing again. But again, I had a couple of glasses of wine and a steak, so maybe I'm going too far here. I hope you guys were able to pick up on my message. Thanks for tuning in.
No, love that. Come join us on the Strategic Planning Working Group, please.
One day, again, maybe.
You're more than welcome. Love that. And I think Sinful has a comment.
To kind of like what Swiss was saying, kind of a we need to find a way to kind of like where the community can override a whale vote. I feel like there have been not many, but there have been a couple of scenarios where the community did manage to override whale votes, despite like how it went. So I mean, I feel like it's a matter of kind of going back to what I said earlier, like having more people use their voice. The more everyone expresses how they feel or expresses what they or presents what they know, the more that this community can move forward in like kind of like a logical sense.
And Fede, would love to hear your thoughts too on that.
Well, yeah, what just Simple said. It's about like again participating more, but also participating in terms of creating different paths and different ways to address those issues. And I don't know, maybe a working group will be actually there's a working group for whale boats, but it's the community that needs to organize and to discuss about those specific issues. When when a specific voting is has been flipped over by a whale, that's when I think the community needs to organize and to discuss. And maybe sometimes the whale vote is. I'm not against whale voting. What I'm against, maybe, it's about whales voting without expressing their thoughts on a specific issue. Okay, because they are huge stakeholders and they have the right to vote. But if they have that much voting power, they have a huge responsibility with the community, and they need to be accountable to the community. So I think we need to figure out ways for them not to stop voting. Maybe ways to limitate that voting power. I don't know. It's something that we need to still discuss. It's a discussion that we need to have, but also to making them accountable and to like asking them to or enforcing them to share their thoughts, to share their intentions behind a vote. Because again, holding a huge VP is also a huge responsibility within this community. So yeah, that sometimes can demotivate a lot of small man holders, but it's also the place where, and the moment that we need to take, and we need to take advantage and give and take that discussions, and to actually create pathways and work rails for the decision making be more neat. So yeah, I do not have the solution for this. These are all discussions; they are still ongoing. But again, creating incentives, getting more people to participate, getting more or creating more ways to distribute the voting power might not solve this issue, address this issue, but might put us on the right path and the right way to address that. So I didn't answer the question. I just shared my thoughts on this. But yeah, I think Swiss is again going to ask a question.
No,
so
thank you, Fede. No, I agree. It's like the Spider-Man saying, "With great power comes great responsibility." That
Exactly.
Right.
Swiss, you want to go ahead?
I just want to add something to this. And Fede, you are spot on there, and I agree with you 100%. A lot of other communities have really modeled their DAOs around the Decentraland model. This has been something that other communities have been looking up to on how you guys have made it work. But they have also introduced new ideas, and they have evolved, and they have in many areas made it better than Decentraland at this point, because they actually speak openly about not being 100% decentralized, and that there are people in the community who have these whale votes, and a lot of the time it's the actual team who has those votes, and they use them openly because they want to have control of the project, because they believe they have the best information and they should be able to decide, but they want to have the community in that process. And I think we need to be intellectually honest in Decentraland as well, and be more open about this, and let the people who have the most competence make the decisions, but having like an open discussion prior to that, with votes, with an opportunity to overrule if there is a massive error about to happen. I think that should be out in the open, and that shouldn't be hidden. And I think in the past, and I don't know how it's been over the last couple of months, maybe this has changed. In the past, this has been always in the dark, and it was just these mysterious votes that appeared with millions and millions of men. So I just think this needs to come out in the open. It's okay not to be perfectly decentralized. It's okay that the most competent people, get to say whatever they want to say. And just one last thought here. I would also like to see that we kind of work on something that is relevant. I don't necessarily care if another building is going to be approved or put on the map. That's very nice. I mean, but I just sometimes feel like we are kind of skipping on the important issue that will take Decentraland forward as a whole, and kind of vote on maybe minor issues which might be interesting to a specific subgroup. But a lot of the issues that have been around for 3 years have not been resolved, and we are just not doing anything about it. And maybe your team could be the team that actually makes these proposals. Don't rely on the community to submit those proposals, but pick up a few important issues that have been around for years. Some of the big and painful ones, like a builder tool that will finally put us on the map back against some of the newcomers who have been overtaking Decentraland, just as an example. Anyways, again, this is the second glass of wine speaking. Guys, I'm going to tune out. I'm really, really happy to see that you guys are still in the game, and I'm hopefully going to join you guys at some point again, if you will have me.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us and sharing. Really appreciate everything you're saying, and very spot on. Sinful.
Swiss, I need to get on that second glass of wine, maybe soon, in a few hours with you. I was just going to mention, have you seen the VLM proposal, the virtual land manager proposal? Is that kind of like something within that category of relevance that you were speaking of?
This is the very first time in the past 3 years that I come completely unprepared into a call like this. So no, I haven't seen anything that has happened in the last 60 days. So I apologize.
Yeah, so there was recently a proposal for a virtual land manager that got put in the DAO by Unknower. He is a very, very talented and very knowledgeable developer here in the space for a virtual land manager, which is kind of like a feature to make editing your land easy, quick and easy, and painless. Kind of like do feel like it's kind of a step forward in kind of like all of this. I was just wondering how you if like you had seen it, and if that fell in the category of that you were just speaking on, because I personally feel like it's a much needed proposal.
One last thing on this. I mean, Decentraland has always been the leading project, and I think it still is. And if we don't have the best builder tool, that people leave every other project to join Decentraland to build something on it and pay for the land and pay premium for the land, then it doesn't work. I haven't checked out the proposal, and maybe it is the one step in the right direction. But I've seen first step in the right direction a couple of times over the past years, and I just think Decentraland should be number one, and it should be unquestionable, and other people should be kind of copying stuff from Decentraland and not the other way around.
Fede, I think you want to comment on it? Go for it. And then Existence. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to go around again to what Swiss has mentioned a couple of minutes ago about us being like the leading platform or the leading DAO in many aspects. And again, around the BP distribution and the wealth thing and this debate about the decentralized and centralized decision making, that's again, it's not an old debate, but it's something that we need to step to take a step up on that, because just decentralizing processes or thinking about decentralization for the sake of decentralization is not a way to address everything that every issue that's around. Sometimes it's more about check and balances and accountability and creating that specific procedures to set expectations between the parts and to build that procedures in a decentralized way. But sometimes it might be better to think in terms of efficiency and effectiveness. So just wanted to make that side note on that. It's not always about decentralization and centralization, but also about efficiency and effectiveness. And the solution for that is going with in betweens that are created by the community with a clear check and balances system and the right accountability. And the last thing that I'm going to say, and maybe intentionally creating some controversy about this, is again, we are the lead in many aspects. Right now, and from the beginning, we have this stake-weighted voting system, and it should be it will be a good idea not to put in discussion like the whole system, but thinking about what will be the best way to address this wealth voting or BP distribution issue, thinking about what other systems can we complement with our system, right? Because the stake-weighted system, it was the best way to get funded and to start collaborating in the platform. And it is right and it is correct for the huge stakeholders that were early contributors to have power in the decision making. But we're right now at a different stage of this, again, of this experiment, of these pilot tests that we're running on the Decentraland DAO. And it also might be a good moment to start discussions around if the stake weighted system as it is, it's enough for us to keep growing as a community, to keep evolving. So just going to drop that bomb here, and I'm going to pass it again to you, Nat.
Well, thank you, Fede. And we're going to start wrapping it up soon, but would love to hear from Existence before we do that. Thank you for coming up.
Thank you. First I want to say just Lord Like, my apologies for not making it yesterday. I don't know what happened. I try to make it to those things in regards to the DAO, but so I want to bring up a couple barriers that I know of. I have somebody who I can't really say they're new to Decentraland anymore. It's been more than 6 months, but they're new to the DAO. They've been asking me some questions, and one of the things they said, which is something I've been talking about as well, is it's hard to convince people to come into the DAO when in the chats people are constantly attacked. I know there's not too much we can do. We're to be decentralized and everybody has a right to their opinion. But what I'm asking is that those of you and us that have been around, if we could possibly please check our emotions, and try to be more reasonable and have a real conversation and discussion in regards to some of these projects that come through. All I see that is, I don't see that as building. I don't see that as growth making. And it gets really discouraging. And the person that I've been talking to, they said, I can see why creators don't come in, don't want to be a part of it. They don't want to hear that. They don't, they get attacked. One other thing that I know of is people submit, they put proposals, or they put their ideas for a proposal in to get feedback from, and nobody gives them any response. So then they do the proposal, and then that's when everybody comes at them. I know there's some people that stay out of the Discord. Good for you. I don't blame you one bit. But that's where people can try to get information from the community to write and create a proposal that should hopefully pass after going through that inspection and feedback. But that's what I wanted to say. Is just try to have some decorum in the Discord and keep emotions under control, and just try to have real discussions. This is a once in a millennia opportunity for us to create a world, and it's going to be up to us in how the direction that it goes. So just please remember that. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And yeah, I've seen it's definitely a growing, and it's a challenge. And I think I've spoken about this before, but I've been to several MCons. So it's a conference about DAOs, and it seems like, I mean, not that it really helps anything, but it seems like a lot of DAOs, like we all go through these growing pains, these figuring out ways to work together better, right? And how to work together as a team, and be more patient and collaboration in every method. It's definitely like, we're not even teenagers yet. We're just like toddlers, really, in many ways. I see it.
Well, and all I want when I go in there is I want facts. If you have facts to back up something that something is not right, we definitely need to hear that. But sometimes it's not factual. It's just, people's emotions get run high, and I can understand that too. But bring the facts to the table, and let's talk about it in a reasonable, respectful manner.
Yeah, and as Fede was saying, we're trying, as facilitators, to create different opportunities for interactions that are hopefully, like the strategic planning working group, our AMAs, our just our spaces like this, our in-world meetups, just an eventual Brick by Brick Builders Club that we're going to do different ways of engagement. So hopefully people can start like focusing on these building opportunities versus like more like, boxing matches that happen. But Fede, would love you to hear your take on that.
No, it's just perfect what Existent call out. It's not about not being passionate about these projects of our ideology or of our thoughts of our things, right? It's about discussing the facts, discussing the things, and not attacking personally the people that are having those discussions, right? I mean, target the issue, not the person. It's really important to think about that. And I like what you just mentioned, not because it's also important for us, not for us as a team, like the whole team, the whole community, to have the opportunity to create those spaces, to have those discussions, because I'm going to say something. For example, it's not, maybe the general channel is not a place to start yelling at each other and derailing conversations about, I don't know, a specific topic. Uh, Maybe yes, but it's good for us, and it will be good for us to try to find other spaces, other channels, and other ways to communicate. And again, Twitter Spaces are a great tool. The working groups are a great tool, because something that I like about creating, for example, again, another example, when HP or someone from the facilitation squad, there were some cases when we created channels in Discord, and discussions de-escalated like immediately. Because why? Why was that? Because the community identified an issue, we knew the facts about that issue, and we created a specific space for having those discussions. And that discussions that were happening between two people, and two people attacking each other, turned into productive discussions with the participation of a lot of community members. So again, it's about what Existence mentioned about not being about controlling our emotions, about not being disrespectful, not attacking each other, but also to finding the ways to communicate, and the right places to communicate, and the
And
right places to tackle the different issues.
it's
So
sometimes it's just a misconception, and sometimes it's a language barrier. Keep in mind, this we're dealing with people from all around the world, and just because the way you say something is what you're used to does not mean that that's the way it comes across to somebody else. There's so much for us to learn from that. So we do have to, take a minute. If you're having an issue with somebody, think. If you're able to, if you know that they're from a different country, there very well could be there's something, a disconnect there that is not happening. So, and the other big thing is it's text chat. You don't get emotions, whether you got emojis or not, exactly into your conversation. So it may come across as rude, or it may come across as funny to you, and neither of those was the way it was meant. So all things that we really have to keep in mind.
Yeah, 100% on that. Thank you for bringing that up. And we have time for one more question before we wrap it up. And I think it's our friend Adidas, if I'm saying it right, if you want to ask your question before we wrap this space up. Thank you for.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Thank you for having me and letting me on stage. So I've been listening for the past maybe 5 to 10 minutes, and I wasn't even aware that there's a Decentraland DAO, to be honest. So wow, congrats to you guys, and then congrats to Decentraland and for the community making up a DAO, because this is important. And then I'm happy to see that Decentraland, the company, is giving a voice to the people by letting you guys. I mean, obviously, you guys by being owners of parcels in Decentraland, you can make up your own DAO. But I want to bring a point that no one has mentioned in the discussion earlier with Discord, and like people hurting each other, and like beefing at each other. So you need to keep in mind one more factor, that actually two factors, and one of them is that we are in a bear market, and then whoever's left at the moment is literally just you. I mean, you, us, whoever, the builders and the community that do care. And then we're not necessarily seeing a lot of an influx of new people, unless there's partnerships and there's other things happening from the parent company, which is Decentraland, that is putting up the effort to bring new people into the space. But because of the bear market, we are sort of in an echo chamber where it's really, really hard to kind of like, like agree on how to move forward, and then what's the best approach for everything. And then one thing that I would say is, like, just everybody was mentioning earlier, take a step back. If you had too much of Discord, or if you had too much of anything like Twitter, whatever, go outside, touch some grass, meet your family, be with your friends, and then come back with a clear head, because this can be overwhelming sometimes. And then if somebody said something funny, like I can't remember who was saying it about the emojis, because I'm doing my dishes in the kitchen. I wasn't actually watching the Twitter, but somebody was saying that if somebody's reacted with an emoji either on Twitter or in Discord, they might mean something, and then you might take it a different way. So it might mean something to them, it might be funny to them, might not be funny to you. And then the best way to go about it, if you think that was funny, I would say take it up into their DMs, discuss about it in a nice peaceful manner. And then if you can't do that, just clear your head. It's the best way to go about it. But that's all I got to say. I don't want to take too much time because I know it's time for you guys to wrap it up. Thank you for giving me time to speak. And yeah, onwards and upwards from here. And I'll be more than happy to listen into more conversations like this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ali. And hello, by the way.
Yes, thank you.
Hi, Kind Wolf.
Hello, man. Welcome.
Welcome. Swiss, do you wanna have some last remarks? If everybody, we can just start with that. I'll let you have it.
I'll attempt to. One thing I've learned from my personal behavior, and I don't know if this is true for everyone here, but I'm sure for a few it is very hard to be in Decentraland with one foot in and with one foot out. If you are, I think we will eventually come to a place where you have these periods in a year where you are deeply dedicated because you need a lot of attention focused on Decentraland, what's going on. You need to spend a couple of weeks to get back into it. You need to start building to see what's the new functionality that you have missed. It's not that easy to just, tune in and tune out and touch grass outside and spend time with family. A lot of the times, a lot of us, I think, we just make a deep dive into this space. And I understand those people who fucking lose it in the Discord because not only are they emotionally and in time invested, they're also financially invested potentially. So I let's have some empathy for those people as well, because I don't know if I'm speaking for everyone here, but I've been occasionally one of those guys. And, but I agree, it's just this culture on Twitter and on social media, which is hard to resist when you come back to a place that you love. And some of us make mistakes. I've made mistakes, a lot of serious mistakes. And just wanted to add this just to, give some empathy to the people who have lost it occasionally in one of these platforms. Have a nice evening, guys.
I think we can all relate. Thank you for sharing that. Totally agree. I think we're all it's like we're here because we're passionate, right? We love this space. We see so much potential, but it's definitely like a roller coaster ride, right? It's never like, yeah. With that, I would love if you guys want to do any closing remarks. Sinful, Ken Wolf, Fede, go for it. Existence.
Thank you for having me up. Really appreciate the time. Addy Dust, if you're ever on Decentraland, just feel free to ask any questions or reach out to anyone for any events. We're always hosting community events on Decentraland. There's always so much going on, and would love to have you join us.
I would actually be more interested in building something because I have a parcel of my own. And then, like what Swiss was saying earlier, there are people who are invested in Decentraland. And yes, I'm one of them. And I remember buying at the top, but I don't care. For me, it's not about the price. It's about building something that people would like to enjoy and people would like to spend time on as an experience. And I have parcels in other worlds, but this is not the time and place to talk about that. But the idea here is I'm more than happy to see what's happening in the ecosystem. And then I'll be more than happy to connect with builders to see if we can turn my empty plot in Decentraland into something, because I would love to walk in there and be like, this is my house. And then, this is what I would like other people. I would pretty much like to have Twitter spaces like this and then get people to visit Decentraland and be like, okay, jump in this Decentraland parcel and then check it out, check the experience, and then, have fun.
Oh, you should definitely check out. There's a game jam that just began yesterday from Foundation side. You should check it out. We have it on our information on our Twitter, and Decentraland Foundation site as well has a whole blog about it. It's for the SDK 7. So it might be a fun time to jump in and join in that builder community.
Definitely. Thank you. We'll check it out.
And Fede and Ken Wolf. Nexistence. Any closing remarks?
Yeah, well, no, just to thank everyone for joining. I didn't expect that much people will join this space. It was really nice to see that that you're interested in what we do and what we want to do and what we are planning to do. We're, as Fractilians mentioned, we are like fully advocated to make things easier for this community, to make things agile, and to get to know each one of you and fit your interests and align them with the rest of the community members, stakeholders, and everyone around. So we are a facilitation squad, but we are still part of the community. We're really involved with community members, and that's what I'm more like about this specific position that I'm holding, and about our team. We're really involved in the day-by-day operations, in the day-by-day discussions. It's again really great to see you all here, trying to know us better and to know what we are doing and everything around that. So again, thanks everyone, and thanks Fractilians for hosting this space.
And my plea again is put in the chat bubble, a tweet I sent out the other day. But let's build a better world together.
Love that. Thank you guys, everyone, for coming and sharing your stories and your knowledge. And definitely, like Sinful was saying, come join our town halls, our strategic planning, our in-world meetups. Thank you for being here. The spaces, we have another spaces lined up next week. So every couple weeks, or try to do it every couple weeks or every week if we can. Come join us. Let your voices be heard. No matter what you're saying, Sinful, is like your vote counts, your voice counts. And that's how we build together. And very grateful for this and for all of you. And yeah, with that, I'll close it up and have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday, and see you guys in World and on the Discord. Bye, guys. Much love.
Thank you.
See you guys.